What's up, everybody? So, I just wanted to thank all of you guys for helping my JJ Watt video go viral. I did not expect that video to blow up like it did, and I know it's only 1.2K. That might not seem a lot to a lot of you guys, but for me to really break into that 1K mark is just amazing, and I definitely could have never done it without you guys. I mean, the support on that video, you guys liking the video, you guys commenting on the video, you guys sharing the video, just you guys' support is amazing. I'm so thankful that you guys are a part of this YouTube channel, and I'm really excited to bring you guys the best Bears content on YouTube. And again, thank you so much for you guys' support. It means a lot towards me. Thank you for all the new subscribers for subscribing to my channel. It means a lot towards me. And yeah, but with that all being said, guys, so today I interviewed one of my friends. His name is Mike Butler. He is a football player at Butler, and we had an amazing conversation. So this is just part one. I'll be uploading the other parts in the coming days. But on part one, we basically discussed about Matt Nagy. We discussed whether or not Matt Nagy is overrated or underrated, if he's a right head coach. And then we also dive into Anthony Miller. So as many of you guys know, we have an Anthony Miller situation. Should we re-sign Anthony Miller? Should we not re-sign Anthony Miller? Should we keep Anthony Miller? So me and Mike dive into that. So that's what we talk about on part one of this podcast. But before we dive into today's video, guys, you know what to do. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you comment below your thoughts on Matt Nagy and Anthony Miller. And make sure to just share the video with a couple of your other Bears friends. And yeah, with that all being said, guys, I hope you really enjoyed my conversation with Mike. How did you become a Bears fan?
So my dad is a 30-year season ticket holder. He grew up in South Bend, Indiana, and when you live in South Bend and not many professional sports teams around, you kind of just like the closest city. He was always a huge Bears fan, and then he got into business in the Chicagoland area, and opportunities came up to him, so he snatched season tickets, and I've been going to games since I was 6 years old. I've sat through the coldest weather, and I've been a part of the greatest moments. So really, I'm just a diehard Bears fan.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, as a kid, you probably weren't paying attention too much, but what do you remember from watching the Bears at a young age that now you see with the 2021 Chicago Bears? Like, what are the similarities you see?
Well, first of all, when I was growing up, I as you get older, you start paying attention more to media and you start listening to the radio more. When I was a kid, I expected the Bears to be good every single year, and for the most part, they were. But I think the worst record they had when I was a kid was like 7-9 under Lovey Smith. So they were always competitive and they were always in there. And it relates to the team today because yeah, we might not think the Bears are Super Bowl contenders, but they've they've won 8 games each and every single season under Matt Nagy, and for the better part of the early 2010s that wasn't happening. We were in for 5-win seasons, 6-win seasons, and so now when they're starting to win a lot of games, you start looking back and going, man, we could have won this one, we could have won that one, and it's just you always second guess yourself on that. But expecting them to be good every single year is kind of what I've become used to.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. And what are your thoughts on Matt Nagy? Because he's a pretty controversial head coach coming. If you think about it, people hate him and then people love him. And what are your thoughts on Matt Nagy? And do you like him as a head coach? Do you think that he should be the head coach for years to come?
I am in a very minority opinion of Chicago Bears fans that absolutely loves the job that Matt Nagy has done. He has, if you look at the culture of the locker room before Matt Nagy, and then you look at the locker room culture under Matt Nagy, they don't have any problems. There's not, guys aren't fighting with each other like we saw under Mark Trestman and a little bit in the first year of John Fox. You don't have many guys that are getting arrested. You don't have many locker room problems and all that. So the culture of the Bears has been there, and they're expected to win. And you see it in every single press conference. They're like, we're mad that we won, and they don't blame each other. They don't go out there and even though Mitch Trubisky doesn't always have the best games, the defense is like, hey, he's our boy. He's the guy that we're going to go out there and we're going to win with. And is in terms of who he is as an X's and O's guy, what you really saw his strengths in the first 11 games of 2018. You saw how he schemed up offenses because really he was just telling Mitch where to throw the ball. And then he gave him some room to kind of let him play quarterback. And then you realize, oh, this guy really isn't as special as we thought. And then you saw towards the end this year when Mitch came back in and the offensive line got better, when he was starting to scheme up a lot of things and he delegated play calling duties to Bill Lazor, which took a huge amount of maturity, and he really schemed up a lot of play action things to fit to Trubisky's strengths. So I think when you got a coach that's not even 40 yet, I don't think. I think it'd be a mistake for us to be like, oh, 3 years, fire him. Rome wasn't built in a day. This thing, sometimes you have it takes a sometimes takes a guy a couple of years to get his feet under him.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would agree, and I definitely think you have a really good point. I think that I would say that we do have some issues in the locker room. We saw Javon Wims get into a fight. We saw Anthony Miller get into a fight, but from what I've come across, I don't know if it's on Matt Nagy. I don't think it is because I was listening to this other Bears podcast and about this receivers coach and who's the receivers coach on the Bears. Now this is just a rumor. I don't know if it's true, but he said that Anthony Miller and Javon Wims, like other than Allen Robinson and Darnell Mooney, the rest of the wide receiver room is not that good. Like they said that they're not very disciplined, and that's kind of what that's kind of what he kind of said, and that kind of makes sense to me as a Bears fan coming along and seeing the incidents with Anthony Miller and Javon Wims, and even looking at a guy like Riley Ridley, who we drafted in the fourth round, but for some apparent reason, you know, he hasn't been able to put it together or get the amount of touches that he should be getting in a game.
Yeah, you're right on that. And if you look at Anthony Miller's talent, I mean, the guy is explosive. He's just a really unique piece. But you were so right on the fact that what the wide receiver coach said is that Dave Ragone. I think it's Dave Ragone.
I think
He
I think it's Mike Fury, I believe.
That's right. Okay, I'm thinking of old guys here. He You saw like earlier in the season, like all the drop issues that Anthony Miller had. He had like one a game. He had a really critical drop in a few games earlier in the season. He had a big fumble against the Rams. And then you look at Javon Wims and you see that everyone beats that dead horse, but you see that playoff game. I mean, that's something where it's like if you were a disciplined player, you make those plays. And unfortunately, and like as an athlete, and I know a lot of is expected of us, and sometimes people just don't understand the things and the way things go in games, and people make mistakes. It's just that stuff can't happen. There are just little things that just cannot happen. You go back to the Falcons game, and Anthony Miller dropped two touchdown passes. You drop one touchdown pass, all right, I understand things happen. You drop two, come on, man. And it just goes back to that discipline issue. So was it a shock to me that he punched Gardner Johnson? No. Was it a shock to me that Wims got in a fight with Gardner Johnson? No, because you saw in their play the fact that they were not going to be able to hold off from that because they're just undisciplined and they don't think. They just willy nilly go out there and think that everything's just going to come to them sometimes. And fortunately, that came back to bite them.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have like a really good point. Also, it was also said that they showed Gardner Johnson messing around with players in like one of their meetings. They had like a whole 15 minutes and he still made that mistake. And look, I'm not hating on Anthony Miller. I love the guy. He has an awesome son. You know, he's a great football player and I would love him to see him on the Bears, but he just needs to get his act together. That's all we're asking as Bears fans and needs to step it up and on the field. And if he can do that, I don't mind having Anthony Miller for a receiver for years to come. I mean, what about you?
My question is does Anthony Miller want to be a Chicago Bear? He when Allen Robinson was going through all that, you know, liking when he took all of his Chicago Bears photos down, and then when he was liking other posts, people were like really like, oh, Allen Robinson, but Allen Robinson A showed up every single game. He played the way that he can. I kind of ripped him a little bit because I thought he dropped the or I thought he gave up a couple of interceptions on 50-50 balls I thought he should have came with. But again, that's not 100% on him. He didn't drop any footballs. He always went 100% in every play. He played, I think, 95 plus percent of every single game. When I look at Anthony Miller earlier in the season liked to tweet that envision that he wants out of Chicago. Well, Anthony Miller, what have you done to earn that right? You were given an opportunity. Doesn't matter if it's the Chicago Bears or the New York Jets. You're given an opportunity to play. You got to show up and play. And if you don't want to be here, then why should any other NFL team think that you're going to be committed to them? Because they know that hey, if things don't go well here, you're just not going to be committed. That's the thing that really got to me. I think Anthony Miller is a very, very, very talented player. I think that was a could have been a very good pick by Ryan Pace. I don't think Pace. I'm sorry. I don't think Pace missed on him. I just think Anthony Miller just is in his own head, and I think he's an undisciplined player. And again, when you make the same mistake like he did against the Saints, when you see Javon Wims get thrown out for that, when you go back and you make the same mistake, and you got coaches repeatedly telling you, and you're taking time. I know exactly how much time a week we have with our schedule and all that. I mean, if you're going to deviate time to go and talk about something else, like that is very valuable time. And the fact that he did that is just inexcusable. And they're going to really have to make a decision on him.
Yeah, I think that decision will come down to what's going to happen with Allen Robinson and also looking at the wide receiver room with a rookie quarterback. So, we're going to be at 20. I doubt we will be at 20 because I feel like Ryan Pace is going to get a quarterback. Not sure who that's going to be, but I don't know if a rookie quarterback is going to have his number one receiver, with the possibility of it just being Darnell Mooney. Like, I love Darnell Mooney. He's one of my favorite players on the Bears. He's gonna be a star, but he's not a number one receiver. He's a good slot receiver. He's a good number two receiver, but he's by no means a number one receiver. And I think that, that decision has to come down to who do you have in the wide receiver room and who can you get, in free agency. Can you get someone like Kenny Goldway? Can you get another receiver that can fill, Allen Robinson's and Anthony Miller's spot? Like, to be honest with you, I think we can easily replace Anthony Miller. And I was talking about it with my friend. His name is Joey Murray, and me and AJ and Tommy have a friend. His name is Jaden Reed, and he's currently at MSU. And I don't know if you watched Jaden, but he's insane. And I would say like, hey, the Bears need to drop Jaden, and I think that it could be a possibility. And I think that again, Anthony Miller is really easy to replace. I think that we can get someone in like the second, third round, or like the fourth round because Ryan Pace has hit those, you know, later rounds, and I think that he can easily replace Anthony Miller. So it just comes down to that decision.
Well, first, I'll preface this by saying Jaden Reed broke my heart this year because I am a diehard Northwestern fan. So just want to put that out there. But yeah, Anthony Miller is very replaceable. But a guy like Darnell Mooney, so I know a lot of people, and I've heard that argument before that he's not a number one receiver. Well, I think we have this vision that a number one receiver has to be like an Allen Robinson or a Devontae Adams a DeAndre Hopkins or boy, like a Mike Evans, just a big physical guy that can go up and get the football. If you look at Stefon Diggs is kind of more like Darnell Mooney than he is like any of those other receivers. So, but I think you're right when you say I don't think he can be a number one for another 2 years. I think he's still got a lot of experience that he needs to get going.